Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
A deceased male was located on the Jamescree Nation.
One of two stabbing suspects is found dead in Saskatchewan, while the other is still at large. The latest on the police search and the victims. Also,
we are unable to fly both helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft.
Windy conditions challenging fire crews as they battle wildfires across this province. And
I'm feeling worried about how this school year is going to go.
BC kids heading back to school, the concerns over COVID safety in the classroom.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Anita is away. I'm Isabelle Raghem. We begin tonight with developments from Saskatchewan, where one of the two men sought by the RCMP in connection with the deadly stabbings yesterday has been found dead. Police say 31-year-old Damien Sanderson's body was found with wounds that did not appear to be self-inflicted. His brother, Miles Sanderson, is still at large. The two are accused of fatally stabbing 10 people and injuring 18 others. It's believed to have happened in numerous locations across that province, including in the Jamescree Nation. The attacks prompted a dangerous persons alert. One woman told CBC she and her mother may have had an interaction with one of the suspects.
At 7 o'clock, I heard the alert. It woke me up. So I got up and I had my coffee ready and I came out to sit here in the deck like I do every morning and enjoy my coffee. And this car went flying by.
Kind of got up and we were wondering, I come out here, we were wondering what was going on.
And then a couple minutes later, a gentleman walked around the side of the house and came to the front with something over his face.
And he said, I need somebody to take me to the hospital. My mouth has been hurt.
And I said, well, can I see? Can I see what your face looks like? And he says, oh no, it's way too bad for that. So he kept it covered. And then I said, well, I'll have to go call somebody.
So she went into the house and he took off.
This is not a good guy because he's running away when we offered to help him. So I went in and called the police, and within about 10 minutes, the police were here and got our information, and that was it.
Miles Sanderson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, while Damien had been charged with 1 count of first-degree murder. Miles had been serving nearly 5-year sentence, federal sentence that is, for various crimes, including robbery and assault. He got a statutory release, and then he disappeared in May. The RCMP says he is believed to be armed and dangerous and should not be approached. We are also learning more about some of the victims in these attacks tonight. Aaron Collins is just outside Jamescree Smith First Nation, speaking to family members of some of the victims.
Their sister's story came to a tragic end. Still, these two brothers are compelled to share it.
My sister was lying in a driveway with her friend and a young boy. They were all dead. They were massacred.
Ivor Burns' sister Gloria was a helper, an addictions counselor on the Jamescree First Nation, one of the community members she was committed to helping, now charged with killing her.
The drug problem and the alcohol problem on his reserve is way out of hand. We have dead people. And we asked before for something to be done.
Well, this isn't a story that the band wanted told, at least not yet. The trauma in this community, too raw. But for the family of Gloria Burns, staying quiet wasn't an option. Daryl Burns was an addictions counselor like his sister. He resigned that post today before coming down this road to speak to us.
So we need people to come in and help us deal with this anger, deal with these issues that are plaguing our people.
This community has long been plagued by drugs, alcohol, and violence. Today is the 1-year anniversary of a double murder here. Current problems caused by past abuses.
We all know what happened in residential schools. We all know the damage is done to our people. So now that the effects are rippling down into our children. because those are the things that we've never dealt with in our past. Those are the things that our leadership have never dealt with in their lives. And as second-generation residential survivors, we're passing on those same traits onto our children.
But this community has a long road of healing ahead of it, one that some of its members are asking to not walk alone.
And that was Aaron Collins reporting. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he spoke to the Jamescree Cree Nation leaders earlier today. He also says the federal government is closely monitoring the situation.
Yesterday's attacks in Saskatchewan are shocking and heartbreaking. My thoughts and the thoughts of all Canadians are with those who've lost loved ones and with those who are injured. This kind of violence, or any kind of violence, has no place in our country. Sadly, over these past years, tragedies like these have become all too commonplace. Saskatchewanians and Canadians will do what we always do in times of difficulty and anguish. We'll be there for each other, be there for our neighbors, lean on each other, help grieve and help heal.
To other news, a search is still underway in the Salish Sea. 1 person is dead and 9 others are still missing, including a child after a float plane crashed in Puget Sound yesterday. It crashed in Mutiny Bay, west of Whidbey Island, around 3 p.m. Sunday. The float plane had taken off from Friday Harbor on San Juan Island, east of Victoria. The body of 1 person was recovered yesterday. The U.S. Coast Guard says crews have been searching throughout the night, but the other 9 people on board have not yet been found.
Each case is unique, each case is different, and our crews are trained to respond. Our crews are out there searching right now, and I guarantee you there's very few people who want these people found more than our crews that are on scene.
This is certainly a far larger and more serious incident than we expected to have on this holiday weekend. We were more expecting our usual routine motor vehicle accidents, those kinds of things, so this was a surprise.
The cause of the investigation, or the cause of the crash rather, is still unknown at this time. Class is back in session tomorrow. It's the 3rd school year during the COVID-19 pandemic, but this time it might look a little different. Masks are no longer required. And as Joel Ballard reports, this has some people calling for stricter guidelines.
Elementary school teacher Jennifer Hayden is busy preparing for the first day of class, but she's got a lot on her mind.
I'm feeling worried about how this school year is going to go with the lack of protections.
Last September, masks were required for all staff and students grade 4 and up. Not this year. The province now says it's a personal choice. On the front lines, Hayden is organizing with a group of teachers who want concrete safety measures.
We need to face reality and do what's needed to keep people from being sick.
Though mandates have ended and restrictions lifted, the founder of Protect Our Province points out the pandemic is far from over.
BC has about 6 to 7 deaths a day during this summer, 2022, versus last year, we had 6 a week.
But concerns about kids returning to the classroom aren't shared by everyone.
No, we are very excited and quite comfortable. We saw last year, they really took care very nice. So we are quite comfortable.
Yeah, actually for the first time, we very worried about COVID. So we wanted kids just to wear a mask in a school. But now I don't feel that this. So we are just comfortable now.
Dr. Filiatro believes that comfort is misplaced. She says the government is failing to inform people about the risks to children.
We've told parents kids don't get COVID. It could not be more untrue.
Since January 2020, almost 600 children under the age of 10 have been hospitalized for COVID-19. Less than half of kids aged 5 to 11 have had 2 shots of the vaccine. Given the risk of transmission and long COVID, both Filiatro and Hayden are calling for a mask mandate and upgraded air filtration in all indoor public school spaces.
Why are they not following the evidence? And when are they going to do it?
The Ministry of Education did not respond to a request for comment, but at the end of August, it said health and safety are paramount, adding that families should stay up to date with all vaccines and stay at home when sick. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Coquitlam.
A Surrey-based food bank has launched a drive to help struggling parents as the school year starts.
You know, these days, everybody knows people struggling. You know, they lose their jobs, and you know, it's groceries prices almost it's a double and triples, and also it's you know, basement rents goes up.
This is the first time a school supply food bank has been organized by the Guru Nanak Food Bank. Parents are given a backpack containing books, crayons, and other essential supplies. The aim is to make sure children have the tools they need so that they are prepared for school. Organizers say they started the event because many parents were asking for help, due in part to the rising cost of living. Strong winds are creating a challenge for crews fighting wildfires in this province. There are currently 5 fires of note in BC, 3 of them burning in the northeast. The Battleship Mountain wildfire in the Peace River region is currently the largest. It has grown to 105 square kilometers. As a result, the town of Hudson's Hope has declared a local state of emergency and has issued an evacuation order. And to the south, near Dawson Creek, the Bear Hole Lake wildfire has grown 12 kilometers.
We are also seeing smoky conditions, which are limiting our response efforts. So under smoky conditions, we are unable to fly both helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft.
Conditions are expected to improve later this week, but with a hotter than average September expected, new fires are possible. And let's bring in meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff with a look at the forecast, a first look at the forecast, and we're talking about those improving conditions. What do we know about those improving conditions when it comes to the battle against wildfires in the interior?
Yeah, Isabel, really the strong winds dying down. That's going to be a big help. We had a strong pressure gradient as that cold front came through yesterday, but things are rebounding to calmer, hotter week ahead. Look at the fire danger rating for today. Still lots of high to extreme pockets. Our temperatures are rebounding as well. Take a look where we're at right now. Still the mid to high 20s in the interior, 19 for YVR, Isabel. I've got a very hot Tuesday for back to schoolers. I'll have the full forecast coming back.
All right, chat with you in a bit. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Hundreds marched through the streets of Victoria today to mark a century since Chinese students staged a walkout against school segregation. 100 years ago, students striked to protest being segregated into Chinese-only schools. More than 200 students stood up at the time against the Victoria School Board. Today's walk began at the George J. Elementary School. Jay was the school board chairman in 1922.
People only went to school until about grade 8. And so the Chinese community, including the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association, the Chinese Canadian Club, and the Chinese Commerce Association, all lobbied the trustees to reverse that policy. That did not happen. So on the first day of school, September 5th, 1922, the Chinese students were called out of their classrooms by their principals. They were marched down to the Chinese segregated school on King's Road. And by the time they reached King's Road, all of the students essentially dispersed and went home. And that's when the strike started.
The strike lasted for 1 year, and after some negotiation, the students were able to go back to school. But despite being victorious, Canada enacted another piece of racist legislation, the Chinese Immigration Act, restricting who was allowed into the country. On Friday, the Greater Victoria School District apologized for the segregation policy. Cold and flu season is just around the corner, what has some experts warning about a twin-demic. Stay with us. Thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream. How much is an airport worth? It's a question on the minds of people in Newfoundland and Labrador, where an airport is in the final stages of being sold to a private company. Troy Turner has the story.
$6.90. That's the price tag on this airport. according to a draft agreement obtained by CBC News. The leaked draft document is not dated, but appears to be from the spring and may reveal details about the pending purchase of the airport by Ottawa businessman Carl Diamond. It's not clear whether there were any changes before a binding agreement to sell the airport to Diamond was ultimately announced in June. According to the leaked document, in addition to the $6.90, Diamond's company must assume liabilities totaling $190,000 and must pay off existing airport debts. The big one is the airport's line of credit. While the amount owed isn't listed in the leaked agreement, the province has guaranteed it to a limit of $900,000. Government financial statements from last year show a liability for nearly all of that amount. If you put all those numbers together, there appears to be more than $1 million that has to be paid before the deal can close. We reached out to Trevor Murphy, chairperson of the Stephenville Airport Corporation, as well as several board members. No one would do an interview about the draft agreement. We also reached out to Carl Diamond and his numbered company, the Greater NL Partnership. No one would do an interview. The Greater NL Partnership is disputing the figures in the document, saying the numbers are not accurate. But in an email added it would not be releasing information related to the sale because of a non-disclosure agreement. It's been nearly a year since Diamond unveiled his ambitious plans for Stephenville in a crowded airport terminal.
We're going to be paying off all the airport debt, so whatever is left there. We're also going to attribute an early investment of $200 million into the airport infrastructure and to the community.
The plans he announced last year include the return of major airlines, the creation of thousands of jobs, and a manufacturing operation to build massive cargo drones. Drones as big as a Hercules aircraft.
I know there's quite a few people who don't believe what's happening. That's okay. The proof is in the pudding, and that's what we plan on doing.
As for the closing of the purchase of this airport, there have been no public details to date, and neither the Airport Corporation or the Greater NL Partnership is talking. Troy Turner, CBC News, Stephenville.
School returns this week. Despite the ongoing risks of the pandemic, we are entering uncharted territory when it comes to public health. Some scientists are warning about a twin-demic, the dual threat of influenza and COVID. Lauren Pelly takes a closer look at what that means.
Cleaning, sanitizing, and installing air filters. It's all part of back-to-school prep for this early childhood education center.
It's just, making sure that we put those added measures, and maybe we do it more often than we would have before COVID.
Jen Carr, the director here and a mother of two, is bracing for a busy cold, flu, and COVID season, but isn't sure exactly what to expect.
It's so unpredictable, and we will do our best to extra hand washing and all those extra measures. But again, it's hard to say.
Scientists aren't sure either how this unusual respiratory virus season will play out. After years of restrictions kept many viruses at bay, Canadians are now back to mingling and traveling, all while schools are reopening and people are about to spend more time indoors. That means the pathogens behind COVID, flu, and the common cold will all be circulating again at different points this fall and winter, or even all at once.
If I had to guess, I'd say we might have a moderately bad flu year. COVID, I have no idea.
Australia's latest flu season might provide some early clues, since that country's seasons are the opposite of ours. 2022 marked Australia's first major COVID surge, and data shows the flu also came back with a vengeance. Cases were higher than the 5-year average, while infections spiked earlier than usual.
If we were just looking at COVID going into the fall, I think that would kind of be okay. The problem is that what we're expecting on top of it is a really busy flu season.
This physician worries that double whammy could put pressure on already strained hospitals.
The fact that we're going to continue to have COVID, the fact that we want to be catching up on, all of the surgeries and other things that we got behind on, and a busy flu season is going to make it really hard.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
The last day of the peony, a tradition for many to mark the end of summer. We'll take you there, and that's coming up next. And at 6:19, a live look at Deep Cove. After the break, Johanna is back with the full forecast.
Well, at convenience stores throughout Canada, one thing usually stands in the way of a speedy purchase and a quick exit: teenagers hanging around the doorway. Precisely why teens congregate at corner stores is a mystery, but there's nothing mysterious about the frustration store owners feel trying to drive them away. However, as Ian Hanamansing reports, one convenience store in British Columbia has discovered a musical way to disperse the teens.
There's no sign of it now, but 7-Eleven is constantly trying to stop teenagers from gathering in front of their stores.
And oftentimes that becomes a deterrent for our adult customers coming into the store. And it also can be a problem sometimes if they're a little bit noisy for the neighbors who live around the store.
But the 7-Eleven stores in British Columbia have found an unlikely weapon in their fight against loitering. 7-Eleven employees came up with the idea about 5 years ago. Music, elevator music, soft, continuous instrumentals to keep teenagers from hanging out.
It's just annoying, I don't know, I can't think of anyone who would want to listen to it.
It scares them away, but it'll do the trick because I want to get the hell out of here as soon as I can, I'll tell you that.
Although the company is very happy with the program, some teenagers say they resent being the target of the music.
If we're not causing any problems, we should be allowed to stay here. And they always are saying, oh, get out, and trying to keep us away. And we just come here to be with friends and stuff, and they're always trying to get rid of us.
But store managers say the bottom line is that loitering isn't a problem anymore. Sales are up, and there are some unexpected benefits.
In fact, one of our neighbors that happens to be right beside our store loves it. They get to go, they hear it through their bedroom, and they say it helps them go to sleep.
Neighbors notwithstanding, the program has been so successful in BC that some American 7-Eleven stores are also trying to find the right combination of music that will keep customers coming but not staying at their stores. Ian Hanamansing, CBC News, Richmond.
It's the last day of the Peony Fair, a tradition that dates more than a century in BC and is considered the province's largest ticketed event. Our Janella Hamilton was there talking to families and indulging on some of her favorite fair foods.
From footlong fries to deep-fried cookie dough, thousands of people are taking in the last day of the Peony Fair and indulging in some of their favorite foods.
Butter chicken pierogies, I guess. We're gonna hit up the street corn after this and the swirly potatoes.
An endless choice of tasty treats for the young and young at heart.
This is our little guy's first time. He's a little bit tired now, but he was having a lot of fun earlier.
When I come here, I think about my dad. He would bring me and watch me be on rides and stuff, and so one of the things I want to do is bring my kid around and not miss out on those good moments and enjoying and having fun.
From animatronic dinosaurs, cultural exhibitions, and of course, fair favorites, this year's Peony saw an estimated 450 to 500,000 people. That's about 75% of its normal pre-pandemic volume.
Just being back here in about 4 years is a good experience again.
This year we had an amazing exhibit from Canoe Cultures. They are an internationally respected Indigenous carving training not-for-profit organization. We invited them and they've been here all 15 days of the fair having important conversations, showcasing arts and culture from our Indigenous communities.
She says the Peony is the largest employer of youth in BC.
We have a very high number of low-barrier jobs. When you look around the fairgrounds, you'll see there's about 75 fair families who operate the food concessions, and they're very reliant on the fair industry to support. This is how their family make their living.
The fair wraps up tonight with a performance by Shaka Khan and Patti LaBelle for one last hurrah. Until next year, Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
And if you're headed to that concert tonight, Johanna Wagstaff, what can we expect? Any clear skies?
Clear, Isabel. Yeah, beautiful evening for the finale concert. I mean, I'm a lifer, pioneer, going as a kid. So yeah, always nice to see the festivities back in motion. I want to show you, though, what's going on the satellite radar, because if you were there yesterday, you did feel the rain almost as long-standing as the tiny donuts. The rain on the PNE long weekend. It wasn't a lot, though, but that cold front definitely making it feel fresher today. You can see that system approaching from the west. That's mainly going to bring the rain to central and northern coastal sections. We're watching that rain, much needed in the Peace region and northeast, where we're seeing the fires. But look at that. Temperatures rebounding in the south. This isn't going to be a record-breaking week, but it's a nice one. I know we do need the rain for a lot of reasons, but we're not really going to get it this week. Seasonal and sunny right through to the weekend. It does look like things change next week as well. Next week is the showers and the teens, possibly the sweaters. Let's enjoy the back-to-school forecast
I'm
like
not
this
ready
one.
for the sweaters yet.
I know,
Not yet.
I said it.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
All I wanna do is hold you, feel you in the middle of the night. You let your guard down for me, saying I'm all yours. This is all mine.
You're watching the music video from two Canadian artists. It's called Teenage Tears by the Arkells, along with twin pop stars Tegan and Sarah, who you see right here. And some Vancouverites might recognize this location. Yes, it's a familiar shopping mall with a community connection that defies its ordinariness. Justin McElroy joins us now to talk about why this video has caused such a stir.
Isabel, it's because it's Kingsgate Mall, the much-loved 1970s two-story brick, just a couple dozen outlets, mall right at Main and Kingsway. People in the neighborhood love it, and when Tegan and Sarah talked to the Arkells about this video that for a song that they had recorded months before, they were going to do it in Vancouver, they asked Tegan and Sarah, do you have any ideas for the treatment? And Tegan Quinn says there was one idea that immediately came to mind.
Just like imagined us in a mall, something about teenage behavior. I just think about the mall in the 90s. And so I was like, oh, we shoot a video in a mall. And I just kind of like typed out a treatment, and nobody put up any sort of resistance to the idea. And so started talking about what mall. And I was like, you know, there's Kingsgate Mall, and Denman Mall's pretty strange. I mean, obviously I call it Tinseltown, but International Village is very strange and epic. And in the end, Kingsgate Mall were the only ones who took our calls.
You heard us laughing there a little bit. Anytime you're having a conversation about which malls to use for a video shoot, there's a bit of absurdness there, but lots of people online noticing Kingsgate Mall being there themselves. Two Canadian artists with scores of Junos between them. It's a nice little moment, either if you're a fan of the band or a fan of Kingsgate Mall.
So Justin, why do people have such a sweet spot for what seems like an otherwise ordinary mall?
I think it's that ordinariness of it. You know, Vancouver has changed a lot over the last 50 years, especially in the Mount Pleasant area that has been heavily gentrified. But there's Kingsgate still doing its job, having a lot of services for the community, a lot of bread and butter outlets, giving you stuff at prices that are a little bit more affordable than the area. There's also been rumors throughout the years of the land being sold. It's owned by the Vancouver School Board, and so people worry that it could be sold to give them more money for other places. But as long as Kingsgate is around and as long as people still love it and do things like this, there'll be plenty of people showing their appreciation.
And now it got the Hollywood North treatment, so we'll probably see it sticking around. Justin McElroy, municipal affairs reporter, also on the shopping mall beat for us tonight. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Isabel.
That is your late news or your 6 o'clock news on this Labor Day. Thanks so much for watching. No late night tonight, but we are back here at 6 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.